Now,
Okay.
how you doing today? My name is Joshua Cotton. I'm the founder of Grown Men Grown Men. We have created a safe space, a courageous space to help men heal from past experiences and help them grow into their purpose. Today, we are here for our next chapter of our segment called Interviewing the Exes, where we interview our different guys, different brothers from our group, and we talk about their life and talk about their past experiences. They share their testimony and they want to help guys move past whatever they've been through. They can share their experiences and help others with it. So today we have our brother here with us, Jerry Davis, and he's going to share his life and experience. And I'm going to give a brief bio of Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis is currently the director of clinic counseling at an organization called GRO Community Behavior and Mental Health Services. He also has had several positions as a certified alcohol and other drug counselors at various treatment centers. So that's a brief bio, but I'm gonna let my man, Mr. Jerry, share a little bit more about himself because he can talk about himself better than anybody else can. So please tell us something about yourself that you want us to know about you.
I think where I'm at in this space now, so I'm in the process sitting for my licensed clinical social work exam within the next 6 to 8 weeks. So I've started studying this Wednesday. So I know for the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm gonna be like underground, like doing what I have to do to study and pass this exam. So I have to take a lot off my plate. But prior to taking the director position at Grow Community, I was an independent contractor therapist. So I've been there doing that for like 3 years. I helped Mr. Mallory get it off the ground. And I had my hands in a lot of political stuff. So the People's Lobby is an advocacy group. So I was doing a lot of political work around mass incarceration, bail bond reform, things of that nature. And also at the same time, I was working for Youth Guidance, Becoming a Man BAM organization. So I was a counselor and I transitioned to a coach. So that's pretty much of the work history part. But I do a little mentoring off and on, not in the last 6 months because life's changed and I had to make some different decisions. But I do some Tuesday and Thursday. I do still commit to the Mass Community Center. So it's called OBC, One Brother's Choice. So I go there Tuesday and Thursday and do a little mentoring, and I do a little clinical piece, not much, but if needed, just to address some concerns.
Appreciate that. Excuse the noise in the background if you hear anything,
No,
but yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, man. You are a man on the move. You sound like you got a lot going on. I'm happy that you were able to share that, and we're just proud to have you as one of the brothers that want to talk about his life and your past experiences. So as we get into this, interviewing the exes, we want to talk about what is your ex? What have you looked at your life that you have changed and now you're a different person?
I think the biggest part was me searching for my identity and buying into the myths in the streets. So like for over 16 years, just being in the streets selling drugs, going in and out of prison. So I've been in prison 7 times, and that's an ex. I've been out 12 years this June. But just going through that cycle and just trying to find your way and with no vision, no purpose. And you're just going through that vicious cycle and all the traumatic experience that comes with that once you're in. So a lot of brothers that I know that I've been having conversation with that's caught up in that cycle, you want a way out, but you're not exposed to like some positive mentors or some positive space that show you could do something different and they guide you along that way. So that was one of my biggest acts, to be able to come out of that cycle, because I know a lot of brothers are still caught up in that system, whether physically or on these streets mentally. So to look back and see that I've transformed my life after that 16 years plus in the streets was it was a blessing, because this is my second marriage. I was married at first. My ex-wife, who my children by, so I know it took some kind of toll on them as well. So to be back in their life, I got a blended family. My wife now and we got 3 kids. So it's a blended family and it works well. Our kids love me and my kids love her and we all just get along. So just to be in that space, especially because family mean a lot to me. My dad was a family oriented man. So, so that does mean a lot.
when you said that family was your dad, those things, I want to transition to that for a moment and talk about what was life before that ex. What was life before you became acquainted with the streets?
That's ironic. Life before that, so I grew up in two-parent home. I was the youngest sibling before my brother came along when my parents separated. So my parents separated when I was about 10, 11, but my dad's always been in our life. I grew up in the church. My father was a Baptist deacon and then associate pastor down the road. But so I grew up in the church. I had a good groundbreaking. I mean, a good foundation. You know, we ate dinner at the table on Sundays. You know, we had family gatherings. But to me, I was real curious. You know, I was an A student in school. But you know, when it came to the church, I was curious, and in the culture I was growing up in, you couldn't question it. So I was curious about, you know, about the Bible, certain things about it, you know, and you know, the culture that my dad grew up in is like, you don't ask questions, and that didn't. I don't know if that sat well with me at that time with my curiosity, but I think after my dad and mom separated, even though he was still in our life, every weekend I had to go see him. I mean, go over there to his house. He's a Cubs fan. So I had to sit and watch the Cubs before I could play. So that's why I don't go to Cubs games now, right? But because I wanted to be a kid. But, you know, we bonded. He taught me carpentry. And me, I'm still got a bond. My mom passed with my dad to be 88 this year. We still got a bond to this day. Yeah, and he gets around pretty good. But I think that gave me a good foundation. But I think in my mindset, when I started getting acclimated to the streets after I graduated from high school, went to college 1 year and said, no, I want to do something different. I started becoming a family, and the streets looked more appealing at that time to me.
Mm-hmm. So I want to touch base with what you're saying about you had the life. It almost looked like the perfect life. Two-parent home. Y'all sitting, ate dinner together. Your father was in church. So all those dynamics. And you still like, you know what, that's cool, but I'm curious about the other side. Mm-hmm. And that's what would be my next question. What do you think caused you to make that choice for your life, to make that transition?
I think just looking at my family life when I look back. So my dad wasn't emotional. He grew up 1934 in the South. So he didn't show his emotions, you know. Today, man, I'm always say, I love you, hug each other. Be like, I love when you say that. We joke about it now, but my dad didn't show them kind of emotions. He was more disciplinary. And I saw how hard he worked. You know, came home tired, sometimes working 2 jobs because he had 6 children. And I say, no, it's got to be something different. So my dad didn't have a lot of education. My mom had a high school diploma. I think my dad had like 1 semester of college. And he was the second of his siblings to migrate from the South. My uncle, rest in peace, went to Detroit, sent for my dad. He came up here for a year, migrated to Chicago. He sent for my mom, my oldest sibling at the time. She was the only one born. And that's why our life began. But the other side just looked different because I can speak for me. I was kind of sheltered from the streets. And I played sports, did my homework, went home. So when I got a glimpse of it, and you know, you see the fine cars, jewelry, the girls, I was curious, like, wow, that's a different life. I didn't know the in-depth part of it, that on the other side of the grass was some pain and some trauma. You know, there was a lot of things that wasn't visible, but these people looked like they was happy. Like they was like, in my life, was like, okay, go study. It's like, wait a minute. So I got curious and I got caught up in the trap, the cycle.
So as you started getting caught up, how did that happen? Like literally you ran into a different crowd, you started wanting to hang out in the streets more, and what happened to make that transition?
So yeah, part of the crowd was some of the people I knew, affiliated with, part I met along the way. In the beginning, it appeared to be glamorous and fun, you know, selling drugs, living his life, and comparing to working, because at that time I was working at McDonald's downtown. So comparing to what I'm making at McDonald's, and I had just got married with a kid, I justified it. Like, this is the life. And I had a vain idea of riches, you know, like, wow, okay, I can get rich. You know, because my education, my dad didn't know. They only could give me what they got. My mom didn't know. So I didn't know about stocks, bonds, investing, saving 10% of your income, saving for the future. I didn't have that knowledge. at the time, and it wasn't privy to me. And so I just made some choices. I won't say I made bad choices. I don't believe in making bad choices. I believe everything I did made me the man I am today. I had to get that experience to make me passionate about what I do now as a social worker.
Are you able to give, this is a sad question I didn't ask, a story of a day in your life in the street, whatever it looked like?
A day, a typical day?
Yeah, when you was out in the street doing whatever you did.
A typical day looking like, I'll go from the beginning. Cause I had the mindset that I couldn't work for nobody. You know, like I'm seeing guys working for people, turning money in, and I had that mentality that like, no, I can't do that. I can't stand on a block and just turn you in my money. So a typical day with me was like basically starting off like working for myself, starting small, starting with the marijuana at first, saving some, investing, getting more marijuana, getting to a stage where I can, have some people working with me, and still spend time with my family. And I got caught up in the material thing. So when I look back, I wouldn't do it now. I'm more conscious, giving my family things that I thought I wanted coming up. Like I can remember one time when my first grandson was born. He was, I think 3 or 4 years old. I got the picture. I bought him a fur coat and I had a fur coat. But today I don't have that mindset. I know about investments and savings, but that was the mindset I was in. It was like just getting money, stacking money. And, you got the mentality, okay, save for the lawyer because it's coming, and that was real. It's like save for the lawyer, it's coming. And so I through them cycles, the first 3, 4 times I had the money for the lawyer, but it started going downhill. The last 3 times I didn't have lawyer money. It was like trying to get back to that space that you once was, like a dog chasing its tail. But now you're caught up. Now you got the depression, which we couldn't label. We didn't call it depression, just a bad day. You got depression going on, you can't label it. But you knew intuitively, I knew something was wrong based on how I was raised up, morals, values, based on, even though I grew up on the west side in the projects by USC on Roosevelt Racine, I remember in the 70s, I remember that being modeled family. I'm still here, African-American grocery stores and stores, and then I remember the anger, like in my late teens, reading Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King, and the drugs hit in the 80s. And I'm seeing the families destroyed during the Reagan era. I remember that. And now as I'm getting adapted to the street, the myth is don't show fear, don't show anger. So I couldn't show my emotions. So I'm angry, but I can't talk about it. And I have to displace the anger. And so I'm part of the problem because I'm destroying the community. I'm selling drugs in the community. And I have to own up to that. But I did what I knew at that time. So it was a challenge. So I think I bought into a lot of misnomers, and I didn't see. I mean, I saw two parent families. It was a community, and I started seeing that break up. But I've never seen a man cry. So when the streets telling me men don't cry, I bought into the myth. Like my dad, I never seen my dad cry. And he's 88. I've never seen him cry to this day. So I bought into the myth, just comparing it. Okay, my dad don't cry. You saying men don't cry, don't show no fear. So I'm buying into all these misnomers and these myths. If did I ask a question basically?
Yeah. That was the transition. That is, I didn't know how to place my emotions. I didn't know how to think a different way. I was already set, like, this is the only way I'm gonna make it and reach my goal. I didn't want to work every day like my dad did. I want that fast money, and I ain't gonna get no fast money any other way but this. So
yeah, and that's it. I mean, my 2 sisters. My one older sister went to college, but she didn't finish. My other 2 did. But besides just a few in my community, I didn't see people going to college. I saw people going to jail. That was your badge. I didn't see families going to college, going away from college. I didn't see I got glimpses of it, but I got more glimpses of your badge honor coming from going to jail. And then the stories that come from behind it. I thought he was dead. No, he down there. So you hearing all these stories and myths, like, okay, this is what life's supposed to be like. Okay, you gotta get that badge of honor. It's like you don't seek to go, you don't want to go. When you go, it's like, okay, I survived it, because you got the stories what happens in jail, and then you go in and get a different version, of what you're hearing in the streets. So it's like now you come out, it's like you got the badge of honor, he went in, they get stories about you. So the lie perpetuates within the community.
So you talked about the outside life. What is the life look like in jail?
It varied in the beginning. It varied because I went to a minimum. It was more like a university in the beginning, minimum, because there's not too much going on. School, work. But as it progressed, it could be different. Some of the myths they was telling men raping men that just don't happen. It happened, but it was minute. Most people with the LGBT community, they was already a part of that. So that was a myth that I found out. It got to the point that it could be scary because when I was going to meet a max, I was affiliated with a gang at the time. You had to carry a knife, so you make a knife. I mean, fortunately, thank God I never got stabbed. I've been in one or two little ruckuses, but yeah, you had to carry a knife. So it's like now you got to be more security conscious, in jail. But I was still getting my education, and people know you meet all other people walks of life, and they, so but you buy into that culture that this is normal, and it's not normal, seeing your family come in, getting strip searched to sit down with you, and you get that moment and they leave, and your kids there, they don't know why. In the beginning, my wife was telling me I was in college, but then she'd tell them the truth, so that because they love their dad. Me and my kids are real close to this day, but it's just like you carry all that stuff, but still at the same time in jail, you have to hold these emotions in. I didn't have my first cry, big cry, probably the first one I know was 2010 in May. On my birthday, my daughter was murdered. I mean, I've held that stuff in for 15, 16 years. And that brought out the cry. That brought out the transformation. I was on the stage for the transformation. But you hold all these emotions in, and then some of the mental abuse that go along with being in there. My man telling you when to lock up, when to eat, when it's, so it's a lot of anger. A lot of built-in anger. And then you have some intellectual conversation. I mean, before mass incarceration took off, before Michelle Alexander brought the book, in the 90s, we was talking about mass incarceration in jail. In the 90s, we was having conversation about drugs being flooded in our communities. In the 90s, we was talking about how the dollars don't circulate in our community. So you find your niche who you with in jail, but I was having conversations with brothers like that. And we was having the kind of conversation, our dollar don't circulate in our community. A lot of people in our community don't respect us and don't look like us on these properties. And nobody's teaching us to invest in the community and buy a block. So we having these conversations, but we're not privy, well, at least I wasn't. We're not privy to the method at that time. I know how to do it now. I'm in the process, how to make it happen. We're getting the information. We're seeing the reality like, wow, I can put a label to that. Oh, that's what that is. Wow, okay, that's what that is. But I'm not giving us the method and the solution of how do I go about doing it. It's like, how did I go about doing it? So once I got out this last time, I knew I had a 10-year plan. I knew when I went to college, I knew I wasn't going to school to work for nobody. I knew I had to get my experiences. I knew I had to get my healing because our daughter was murdered. I forgave the girl at the trial, but so I had to go through my growing stages. But I knew at the end, I got an end game. It's like, no, I'm not going to work for nobody then. I got to get my experience to get to my vision, what I want to do. But I got an ultimate end game. It's like I leave a legacy for my community, for my people, but mainly for my family. So it's like, okay, I have to work hard to get there. I mean, I have balance. I'm big on self-care. I do the best to maintain, sometimes fall short, but I try to prioritize. But it's like, I have an end game. It's like, how do we break the cycle, especially the cycle of poverty? How do we break this? How do we break the cycle of the myths in the streets with the gang? How do we do this? And so I just do my part. And I know I'm responsible for my part. I believe the Creator, I believe God didn't have me transform my life just for me. That would be selfish. It was just for my family. It was a bigger plan. And some of the stuff within the 12 years I've been out, been amazing. Sometimes, the Creator got a sense of humor. I'd be like, you playing, right? You got jokes. Because I've seen some stuff that happened that I know some guys returning citizens probably wouldn't have the opportunity to do in their lifetime. I mean, I met Angela Davis, and I was speaking at Columbia University School of Social Work, and my mentor up there, we had a party afterwards. I'm sitting there with Angela Davis. I'm telling God, okay, I'm on the right path.
The Angela Davis.
The Angela Davis, I got a picture.
What's up?
So he was giving me them moments like, okay, you're on the right path. In the beginning, I could hear from him, but at the end, it's like once I was out a few years, like I couldn't hear from him. Like, okay, God, where you at? You know what I'm saying? But I knew he had me because I was making better choices, better decisions. And the right people at the right time was coming in my life. You know, and when I look back on it, at the right time, the right people was coming. The opportunity, I just took advantage of it. I'm a people person. I learned that from the streets. You know, being a people person, building relationships. So I just flipped it over. I'm still that same drive as Nancy. I just do it in a more positive light than a negative light. So when I met Angela Davis, I wasn't shying by it. I went, oh, this Angela Davis. I would sit down and talk to her. It's like, we had a conversation, you know, so it's like, I wasn't looking like, I know she's an icon, but it's like, I'm afraid to talk to her. No, I need to talk to her. I know her work, and I read 2 of her books before I got there, and she signed them, you know, because I had heard about it, but now I need to read the books. I'm going to meet the real deal. And she's so sweet and humble with all the work she's put in. I'm like, wow.
That's dope, man. I appreciate you just sharing that part. That's going to lead into our next question about, you already answered how long did this last? You was in the 10 years and you came out. You said you was locked up 7 times. What was the amount of time total that you was locked up?
I would do the math. So I was in that cycle for about 16, 17 plus years.
15,
So the max I did, I got 6 3 times. So I did 2.5. So you do 3 with a good time, 2.5. So that's the max I did, 2.5 times 3. And then the other 4, I think I did like 1.5. And the other 3, I did like 2. So I would have to tally it up. So like 2, 2, 2, 1, then 2.5, 3 times. So I was
a lot of times with that, a lot of guys like, man, this is who I am. And they just accept it about themselves. But somehow you were able to change your life. How did you like make that transition? Like, I'm done with this.
I think I knew, ain't no thing. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I was tired. My last time I was tired. At that time I was with my wife, who's my fiance. And it was like, I was just tired. I just knew it had to be something I could do different on the other side. I didn't know what. No, I just knew I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing. So I to this day, I pray. But I think the best prayer I said in my life, to this day, January 3rd, 2008, I never forget, it was help me. No, I didn't go into the whole Jesus, God, lie. No, I just said help me. Real simple, 2 words. And it seemed like, as I look back, the help started coming available. Because I started disassociating with some of the guys who I was seeing going in and out. It was like, they were like, he different. None of this was like, I knew something. There's something more to this, something. And then when I went down to prison, I met this counselor. We was cool. We still cool to this day. And we just having a conversation. And she told me to do a 10-year plan. I procrastinated probably about 5 months. I know it was 3 months before I got out, before I done it. I met another counselor, man, him cool. He was the supervisor. Right now he's doing some work, and I just speaking with him. And he saw something in me too. And I never forget, we were sitting up and on the balance, we were looking down, he's like, what do you see? I said, man, I see guys playing dominoes, playing cards, you know, talking, you know, transactions. He's like, no, what do you see? And I didn't get it at first, but I caught it later. It was like the cycle. They call it in the cycle. This is a norm to them. So while they was doing that, I'm on Sundays, I'm in the room listening to TD Jakes. I met TD Jakes in jail. I never do about TD Jakes. You know, I'm in the room, I'm reading books. You know, I'm writing, I'm doing a 10-year plan. I'm doing something opposite than my norm. Because that was my norm. We're gonna get the hustle on. We're gonna gamble, we're gonna, you know, whatever it is, dominoes, spades, dice, you know, 2 for 1s on the commissary. I give you 1 chip, you give me 2 back. That was the hustler norm. And I found myself later when I look back, I was transitioning out of that life. I knew that wasn't normal. You know, and I had conversations with brothers, you know, it's like, because one thing I knew, my dad told me, don't change who you are, you know. And I had some conversations, I think one of the guys tried to disrespect the counseling. But I stood up. It's like, you know, it felt alone, but some guys gravitated, like, come on, man. You know, this is the sisters, for number one. But if them guys, them white guys come in with them blue uniforms, call y'all out your name, you're gonna get real humble. So I got a problem with that. Not to let them know that, you know, I speak my voice, like, and I found my voice and I started building my voice, like, come on, no, we ain't doing that. Now, if you could do it to them, and some guys would, don't get me wrong, but this particular individuals would, I knew they wouldn't, I knew their character. So it's like, come on, man, so we can't do that. And I started finding my voice, started learning how to advocate and stand up for the average underdog, even before I went to school and got the language. I was getting practice. I tell guys coming out jail, man, jail is practice. You know, when you get out, that wind at your back is showtime. And I got evidence to prove it. But I had a lot of great ideas, but I went to prison 7 times. Because when that wind hit your back, things change. The pressures are real. You're going back to these marginalized communities. You're going back, as some guys say, to the scene of crime. So you probably, once the stress hit, you know, you're probably gonna do what you normally used to do, right? So I tell guys that it's like the real test come, you know, like my test came, my daughter got murdered. You know, this was a new life. My daughter got murdered on my birthday. I got out of jail a little over 30 days later. You know, I went to the funeral from jail. You know, I was fortunate enough that I did get some counseling, and that did help me. I was fortunate enough I did have a 10-year plan. And even though I was afraid, I had to believe in that plan. I didn't know how it was going to manifest because I had all this stuff on this plan. And I got more, I cheated myself. I got more that was on the plan than I anticipated, but the Creator gave more. I joke with my daughter now, she's here. Because when I went to college, when I got out the first year, I ain't know how to do no PowerPoint, 12-point fund and all that. And I was trying to get her to do it. She's like, no, I'm a teacher. And I got a little angry. I was like, no, I need you to do it. But me and her joke about it now because I do presentation, I do PowerPoints, but she sat down and took the time like, no, I'm a teacher. I'm not gonna do it. She stood up to me, I'm not gonna do it for you. So this is how we do it. So we joke about that, but I needed that. You know, I needed that to get me with the space I was.
So you would have been dependent on her every time you need to do something.
Pretty much.
You wouldn't have been in the move without her.
She's smarter than me. She over there.
that was a wisdom that she did that.
Yep.
And that's going to go into our next question of how did you grow from that experience, from everything that happened in your past and who you are now? How did you grow from those experiences?
I grew a lot. Even prior to meeting Angela, I think the first thing I learned that the forgiveness wasn't for the girl who killed my daughter, for me. Because when I went to the court and I had to forgive her again because I saw she had some mental health issues. So her and my daughter was dating, and my daughter had an apartment. My daughter was moving out. They got into a fight. She stabbed my daughter in the neck. Unfortunately, my son was there. He called the police. So thank God he didn't do anything that could have escalated the situation. And so I got counseling. My son just recently got it about a few years ago. And I in my heart, I knew I had to forgive her. And when she was in court, I could see some of the mental health issues coming out with her, you know, the anger and, you know, as she was crying to my daughter saying, wake up, why you playing? So it's like, you seeing this, and I know God, in His amazing grace, allowed me, that was a year later, to go in the washroom and I started crying and forgive her again. And I was in that space by myself. I knew I had to forgive her again. But I remember prior to the week going to court, we was doing a presentation. I was doing one on murder, and some guys went, no, I was doing one on rape. Some guys went before me, and they was doing one on murder. Because I was kind of quiet in the class my first year. And when I went up there, I just got emotional, started crying. And they thought I was crying because I was quiet, I couldn't do it. But I faced this trial, my daughter. And I remember them embracing me. I mean, they embraced me because I spoke about it briefly and hugged me. But I also remember when August came, because I had to shed some of that pride that I had from the previous life. So when August came, I was engaged, but when August came, my mentality like, I was in the parking lot, I said, I ain't going back in there, man. Them women saw me crying in the class. And I just heard a voice say, man, I brought you this far. And I got out the car and went in and never looked back. You know, I went in and never looked back. But I vowed when I got out of jail, my daughter's life wouldn't be in vain. That's why I probably go so hard, do what I do. Even though she helped me find my purpose. I found my voice in school, but I vowed her life would be in vain. So it took me probably about another year. We was in Columbia. I got a video of it. Me and Daryl was at Columbia University. This was prior to Angela Davis. And I wasn't speaking about it a lot. He was telling me, bro, you got to talk about your daughter. And that's when my healing started. I think it continued. I ain't gonna say it started because there was 2 of us from Chicago, and about 5, 7 brothers from New York. And we sat in a circle and all of us been in prison. And we started talking about stuff. And I started crying. I gave that story. But because the space was a safe space and it was a healing space and we was authentic. It was an audience around of us, but I was like oblivious to them. And that's when I noticed my platform. And I'm like, okay, I'll start building and finding my voice. And like, this needs to be said. So I've had tons of speaking engagements since then. And I just so much has happened. I mean, I've been in office in Springfield with senators, having conversations about the Ban the Box campaign. We fought that at Governor State. So what that was, if you ever been convicted of a felon, you had to check, well, you'd have to, if you checked the box, you had to meet with some students. It's called student life, student body, they call it student life. You met with some students and you had to talk about your last crime. And then after that, you had to meet with the advisor, and then they put you on your probation. And I'm kind of like more, I'm like just talking about the elephant in the room. I call it what it was, discrimination. And we had students coming crying to us. And that's what made us pick up that campaign. So we were the first student organization. It's called Generating Hope. We were the first student organization to challenge the university. And
January Hope?
Generating, Gener, yeah, Generating Hope. So we was the first to challenge. I mean, we got stakeholders, we got over 1,000 petitions. We did a speaking engagement around it. It's like, so they did finally change it, and they made it optional. You could check it or not. But it was like, that's when I was learning to find my voice and just stand up for justice, stand up for what's right. But we called it what it was. And you know, and I remember that mindset because guys was coming to me like, I didn't check the box, no, they find out. And I remember when I walked into the university in 2011, August, in my mind, everybody knew I've been in jail. Ain't nobody knew I've been in jail. But it was a new space. I was 44, like, man, everybody know. They know I've been in jail. But that was my mindset. And I met these group of brothers, and we was like-minded. Dr. Glass put us together, and Dr. West, there was 3 of us at the time, and then a sister by the name of Patricia. She'd never been in prison, but her mom was on drugs and been in prison. And us 4 bonded, and we just started finding our voice. And they started putting us in spaces where we can build on our voice. Went to a social work conference in Atlanta and talked about it. Dr. Glass took us, and I met Kurt James. We call him Kurt. Dr. James, he worked at Columbia. We met him. He had been to prison. Now he worked at NYU, Social Work Civil School of Learning. And we bonded. We bonded to this day. So he started opening up spaces for, and that's what I'm saying. The space started opening up, the right people at the right time. I remember, what was it, 2015? I was supposed to graduate in 2015. I had my professor forgot to give one class that I needed, a stats class that I was missing from undergrad. And I was feeling some kind of way about it. So I had to go talk to her about it, but it was supposed to work out that way because if I would have graduated at 16, I would have won a Student Lincoln Laureate Award. So it's a prestigious award. You're inducted to Springfield, and it's only one college. I forgot. I think it's like 40 colleges or something that was there. So only one person can get out of their college. And I remember being down in Springfield, and it was only like, it was 2 African-American males and 1 African-American sister at all these colleges. You know, and I remember coming back and seeing that, not some of it, but just a small portion of it, because Dr. Glass, who nominated me, I had to go present to get it. And a lot of us got nominated, but I won it. And they was like, why Jerry? Like, but I didn't let that stuff get in me. I just let it roll down my sleeve because I knew I was on the right path. You know, and 2018, I was the commencement speaker for my grad program.
And you've been everywhere, bro.
That guy's been like, you know, just let me be there. I believe you have to model some of this stuff. So he just put me in a space to model it. You know, I think people was like, why Jerry? Why not? You know, I pay my dues. You know, and I do my best to stay humble. That keeps me grounded.
You seem like a humble guy that just wants to help others with the knowledge and the experience that you have. So God has put you in certain spaces now that others feel like maybe they don't think you deserve it, or because of whatever happened, now you don't fit. But God puts you in places that He thinks you should be. So you keep honoring Him, and He'll keep promoting you.
Oh, He does. You're right, Brother Josh. Because when I look back, we got a big house in Hallway. I'm not caught up in the material, but me and my wife was part of the plan. But when I look down the block, it's one of the biggest houses. And I started crying like the first week I was here. Because I noticed stuff like that, when it's like, okay, this is God. I know it's God. It's not me, because if I put my hand in it, I'm going to mess it up. We're going to mess it up. We'll have a party. So it's just having that discernment and listen to that voice. I mean, I have my challenges. I mean, but I don't want to say I like the dark place, but that's where I grow from. You know, I try to be vigilant when life is going great like it is now. Keep my eyes open. But it's them dark spaces I grow from. And Guy, I mean, I just have to give him the credit because he, you know, I'm getting people in spaces teaching me about investments. I'm making way over 6 figures. And I know now money is a tool. It's not nothing to be worshiped. You know, it's a tool. It's a tool for the build, for the help others. And I know how to, you know, use it as a tool and not let it be my God. But he's just given me so much as a reward. And I don't look at the reward, I look at God. So I don't worship the reward. I don't worship this house, new trial. No, I appreciate it. I work hard. I got it. But I know the source. I know the source because I had money before, but I just didn't have the mentality. And I didn't have like you know, you charge your computer up. I wasn't plugged in with God. You know, the battery was gone. I had a disconnect, and that was on me. God never left. I left. You know, I made a decision to leave. So I'm grateful. I lost a lot of buddies. I got some buddies locked up now. I got a buddy who's locked up 23 years in Alabama. He died last year, you know, in jail. So for me, it's like, okay, I owe. You know, I have to give back. And for my age, you know, I'm really blessed. I'm 55 with no ailments, no high blood pressure, no cholesterol. I get a little stressed with my work every now and then, but I hit the gym or something. So just to go through what I've been through and to be in the space I am and look at some of the brothers around me and some of the space they in, I just get real humble and grateful. So I don't go back to the neighborhood. I mean, I may go once or twice to have a picnic, but it's 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not gonna hang around, not look at me, because I realize not that I'm better than anybody, but I changed, and they did. So all I could do is just keep modeling, just keep showing you what you can do. But I don't go back and try to engross myself and try to tell them how to figure it out. Let's hang out, because some of them guys still in their life, you know, and now I'm more responsible. So you can't get in my car and you might have a gun, because that affects my wife. And that affects my children, my grandchildren, because I got to look at the consequences of my decisions. So I try to be real mindful. I mean, if I see one of the brothers, you know, I mean, we give a hug, we're going to have a short conversation. I give them my number, you can call me, because we haven't seen each other in years. You know, if I got a couple hours on me, you want it, I mean, especially we got a history, but I'm not going to stay in that space, you know, because if you're doing something different.
That fact that you just shared, bro, is amazing. That a lot of guys haven't figured out how to maneuver. We try to leave that life, we try to leave that circle, but just haven't figured out how to leave without feeling shame, without feeling guilt. Either I'm leaving my boys behind, or I'm still supposed to be representing something that I was before, and having to adapt that new identity of the real person that God created them to be, and moving in that direction. And not saying I don't have to identify myself as street anymore.
No.
That is, you just said it right there. I move, I pivot, I'm in, I'm out. I don't have to stay.
Yeah.
That's powerful, bro. That is powerful.
I agree. It is, Josh. It is. And the challenging part is that, you know, you want change for them, but it's like, okay, where's God leading? So I'm in them communities. Like I'm in Inglewood with clients, or Roseland, or Manson, or Chicago Heights, but these are clients, you know. So this is my job. This is my calling, my profession. So when I'm in them spaces, I got a purpose, and my street skills give me awareness. So I'm not afraid to go into them places. And it's unfortunate I won't give names. I don't think they work for our company, but I know some brothers who've been through some of the spaces I've been, got the degrees and doing some of the work I'm doing, but they refuse to go back in them spaces. You know, they gonna pick their clients. I'll take a client in Homewood, but I'm not going in Fort Heights.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't think
So who's gonna help those guys that's still there?
Yeah, because that's your call, that's your profession. You get paid to do that. So it's like you're going to hang out. You're going, but when I get at, it sad me, and then I had to realize that I could just do my part. You know, and that was a challenge. Is when I say I go through some of the things because I want for my brother what I want for myself, and I want to have the same lens. But I understand that we heal in different spaces, and I understand you got a right to be who you are, and I'm gonna respect that. I just got to keep doing my work. So if I like the horse with the blinds on, if I keep focused, you know, it's gonna be okay. So I won't let your stuff affect me. Because then it's about me. So it's like, why is it bothering me? So what do I need to go heal in that space? So I do some self-reflection too. I try to do some self-reflection.
Always necessary. Always got to reflect. And this is the last question I have as far as the reflection. What advice would you give to a young brother that's experienced what you experienced? He's been through some of the things you've been through, and you can see him like he's right at that edge. Like, hey, how can you help him make that change? What advice would you give him?
I would tell him first, use your intuition, because that's what helped me connect with a lot of brothers I'm with, because you know in your heart, you know. And I would tell him to try to seek a mentor, someone who's genuine, someone who's not telling you how to live your life, but open to giving you suggestions, open to hearing your voice and listening to you and modeling that. So try to match up somebody that's modeling what your vision is. Because I think deep down inside, you got an inkling of what you want to do. Just that fear. You just need somebody like, you know, hooray, cheer you on, like you got this, and hold you accountable at the same time. So you got to have a balance of both. You can't have no yes man. You know, you got to have somebody to hold you accountable. You got to uncomfortable conversations and be okay with it, knowing that this person has your best interest. Like when I was in my first support group, I had some brothers, it's like, I laugh at it now. I had some brothers telling me, don't marry my wife right now, get 2 jobs, I'm looking like, and I'm telling them, you know, I'm engaged, I'm out in Rich Park, about to start school, I'm working a factory at night, I'm going to school at night. Like, bro, that's gonna be challenging. You know, it's like, that's gonna be challenging. Just get you 2 jobs, don't marry right away, you just have to, I'm like, wow. And I was okay, like, okay, you know what? I don't have to convince you of what I want. You know, and then the mentor, because it was like a support group, like 7 of us, he came and told me he was proud. He said, the problem is, what you're doing, these brothers been in this group 7, 8, 9 years, and they was doing it 7, 8, 9 years ago. And they ain't done it yet. So he said, I'm proud of you, just speak your voice, leaving it on the table. And I believed I could do it. That mentor Benedict, when he told me that, I had the confirmation, I had my wife's support, and I just had to do it. I just walked into that fear. I had to embrace it. You know, I'm 44, I'm going back to school. A lot I don't know, but it's like I can learn. It's like embrace it, just be myself. So I had to build on that. I think if you find an individual that invests in time, like with my mentees, I only have one, now I had a couple, but, and I just got him because Dr. Glass asked me, because he was struggling in school, because social workers probably only 1 or 2 males in the whole class. A young brother, in the late 20s, but I told him, you know, I try to manage my time, and my time is my most valuable asset. You know, that's something I can't get back. I can get a wife, a car, money, but at the time. So how we start off, like, I'll call you 1 week, you call me 1 week. So you got to show me your interest. So if you don't call me in 2 months, then this might not be a good fit. No, so I'm gonna be committed to call you. Whether Saturday work for you, I'm gonna call you Saturday, just check it in. And then you call me, and I call you, we're gonna build that, because I gotta know how bad you want it, because it's gonna take some work, and you gotta want it. But I'll tell them to look for some of them qualities, and you know, just somebody modeling something you want to do. And building that bond, because it's gonna be some stuff that you want to be vulnerable about. You know, you got to be transparent about. So you want to find that right person. And in our adolescents, our young men, they know. You got the vibe of somebody that's judging. So you got to build that relationship. Because I got transparent with a lot of my mentors, and it just got, you know, they said take the gloves off and let them know what the pain was when I was hurting. At. You know, I didn't need a solution, but I just needed somebody to just hear my voice, like I'm hurt. Because as men, the spaces I was in, we don't tell each other we hurt. And I had to tell them when I was afraid, you know, in them spaces. You know, I got some good advice from one of my mentors. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to make this work. I work nights. At the time, my wife worked nights. I was going to school at night, but I transitioned to a day job. He said, date your wife. I've been dating ever since. Because she off every other weekend, but she worked nights. So it's like, how do you, because people, I think marriage, I ain't gonna say overrated. I think when it's time to do the work, they give up. It's gonna be sometimes you gotta compromise and do the real work. And that's what made out 17 years last. Like, are you willing to do the work? Yeah, you gonna have some moments. Are you gonna be okay when she call you on your stuff? Like my wife, one time, I'll slow down with this, but I laugh to this day. It's about 4 or 5 years. I think I was real busy then. I was finished undergrad, and she ain't number 5 feet. And I came in one day, and because I'm going to what's next, she say, sit down. I just listened to her, I sat down. Just sit down. And it felt good just come in the house, sit down for a few.
Because you just always just.
Yeah, we got to get it done. We grind. I got to balance. And I laugh to this day. She just say, sit down. Not in the arrogant kind of way. She just came to my face, gave me a kiss, sit down. Because I'm like, I'm quick.
Okay, I got 10 minutes,
I'll be back.
Breathe. Just breathe. Relax. It's okay. Take a moment.
There you go.
And a lot of times, us guys, we get so caught up in what we got to do, we don't take time to make sure we're healthy. And take time for ourselves. And we'll lose that in the passion of the purpose.
Yeah.
So,
And I agree, Josh. And you build on that. So now we take 3-4 vacations. I do manicure, pedicures, massages, so I hit the gym, sometimes fall off, but I get back on the horse. But I be mindful, like you say, to just take the time out, just pause and create them boundaries. The first I didn't have now, you can call me at 10 o'clock at night, we got to solve the problem. No, we don't do that today. It's like, I can't have myself.
You'll kill yourself.
Yeah.
Doing that. Yeah. Like that bro dead from work.
Yeah. But you realize, Josh, that others can see your light and they pull. And if you don't recognize or have somebody in your ear, you'll try to give, and then you empty. And you look around, it's like, who pointed to me now?
Yeah.
That was a lesson I had to learn. I had to be okay with saying no. That was one of my hardest challenges. Okay, are you people pleasing? Or is it passion? And I had to realize, say no. Without
That's
explanation.
difficult too, because you had changed your life so much. But I'm doing great things. I'm moving in the right direction. How can I be doing something wrong? Sometimes what you're doing wrong is just harming your own self by not listening to your body and just relaxing and take time for yourself.
And I think I like your group, Josh. I'm gonna tune in, but I think that's what we need as men. Like, we need to hear that. 'Cause it took me a while to get it, until me and my wife having conversations. Like, wow. So you don't have to say no to explanation, just no. Just no. And they have to be okay with no, because some people come with hidden agendas. I can say no now in a minute, but a few years ago, it was like, oh, let me see if I can squeeze it.
I'm gonna try to do everything I can, because it must be needed. I must be that Superman with that cape.
Yeah.
And that's what I seen I like so much about you, that I seen at every point of your life, you was always that leader, that man that knew what he wanted, whether you were in the streets, out of the streets, in prison, out of the prison, you always was, I know what I want to do. You didn't second guess yourself. You didn't just moving around, just waiting for us to encourage you to do it. You just stood firm in your belief, and you're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try to do this. And it's sometimes if you're in the right circles, have the right people around you, you'll go wherever you need to go in life.
Thanks,
You're
bro.
not waiting for someone to tell you like you got to do it. Like you're ready to move.
I agree. Thanks. I appreciate it. And I want to share one last story too, real quick. I won't get any name because confidentiality, but just doing the work with the clients, and one of my clients, he's making the transformation. He's like 16, but the stuff he's dealt with, friends getting killed, the dad not being in his life, moving to Europe, and at one point I was like, wow, like, can I keep doing this? Because he's like, I got to keep healing after I hearing this, but I understood his pain. And we had a conversation. And it's been over a year, but I see the breakthrough now. He's doing well in school because he got kicked out of 2 schools, caught 3 cases in 1 week. I'm in court, and then I just started seeing it now, the healing. It was amazing. About 3 months ago, he hugged me one day, man. I was like, wow. And I just been watching him, and I'm seeing the transformation. But I had another brother. I was just in Skokie at court. When was that? Thursday. Older brother's 40s, and we at court. I normally wear suits, shoes. So I'm sitting there, and I was going to go up when he called him. The sheriff asked me to sit down. The PD, she knew who I was. So after we go outside, he was having a photo too. So I'm sitting outside with him. Inside we get judged. I'm sitting outside with him, and the PD come out and say, the judge want to talk, because they're going to give him tasks. If he got a better deal, he can drug court, which if he completes, the cases get dismissed. But the PD come out there and say, the judge want to see you in the chambers. You want to know if you're the real deal. I'm like, wow.
The judge invite you to the chamber.
Mm-hmm. And I went in there and showed him what the real deal looked like. I talked about the trauma the brother went through, some of the vicarious trauma, being homeless, being placed in DCFS. I was telling him how jail would not help him heal in this space, because you ain't gonna get no mental health counseling in jail. And he had some drug problems he struggled with. He got like a year clean now. You're not gonna get that in jail. So if you do that, we're just gonna perpetuate the cycle. And he's gonna go back to his community and cause harm. However, if we look at finding some supports with him, along with the therapy, we can get him some mentoring, support groups. And the judge brought it to it, and he gave him drug court. He agreed with me. The guy 40 years old, I'm like, what do we do? Do we put a Band-Aid and then wonder why the community is destroyed? Or do we get to the root cause? And the root cause, the brother been in a few DCFS homes. His mother died like a year or 2 from HIV and drugs. He's been on substance abuse. He's been homeless. like, well, let's address that. If we could address that, he can heal in this space, and he can become, as y'all say, a productive member of society. But let's give him some supports. And so in the end, you know, he's complimenting my shoes and Susan, and he laughs, say I'm the real deal. But it's just about going to school and get the language, so I could talk the language. But he saw my passion and my work, and he saw that the guys, he's been doing great. He's been working since he's been out. He completed a couple social emotional learning programs. He came to us for therapy. I didn't seek him out, so I'm like, he's active for the help. So it was amazing just to be able to be in those spaces, and I do it at other courts too in marketing. But just to be able to advocate for these guys who don't have the language to say I'm hurt, or the language to say I want some help. So that'd be my reward. That'd be some of the rewarding work.
That's what's missing too. Not enough men are advocating and giving that opportunity to young men. Like you standing in that gap. You're saying, hey, look, give this guy a chance. I'll vouch for him. I'll stand in the gap for him. I'll help him. And somebody saying that, well, if I think you're a good brother and I believe that you'll help him out, yeah, we'll give him a chance.
I agree. We need more of it, Josh. We do. More of that, more mentors. You know, it's gonna take us to get our communities back.
Yeah. Who else gonna do it? Literally, who we waiting for to do it?
Hey, bro, I've been in some spaces.
The moms only can do so much. The grandmas only can do so much. We're the ones that birth these kids out here. But if we run away like, I can't do nothing with them, then it's a lost generation.
Yeah, that's why it's an honor to connect with you, Aaron, talk so much about you, because I've been in those spaces that, and I speak my voice to the space. I speak my truth because it's my truth. But I've been in some spaces and they know it, so it's not like it's a secret. That when I was at the People's Lobby, and so we did a lot of campaign work, and it was like Joe Biden was savior. I'm like, no, I voted. I don't care who wins. I'm not waiting on Trump or Joe. I'm not waiting on a savior. I'm doing what I have to do in my community. And it's evident from my life and from just seeing some of the transformation in other lives. Unfortunately, some of the lives we can't reach, and I get it. But I planted that seed. But I am not going to put my hope and power into a Joe Biden or a Trump. And I just had to speak that in that space, and it was going to comfortable to them, not to me, because it's probably like 80% white people that I was advocating with in that space. But they know Jerry gonna speak his truth. Like, no, and that's what's wrong with us. We want to put in our communities that we need a handout, we need a savior. No, we need men who look like us to go into our communities. Whether we model it, how we do it, they need to see us and be consistent.
I know that God gives each and every person, and I'm gonna end it after this, a platform. We don't have to wait for anybody else to give us help. We can use what we have to help. We ain't gonna, you already have a platform. You already have a voice. I have a voice. I use whatever I have to help people with what I have. So us staying around and waiting to, I don't know what, useless. We don't have an excuse.
We don't,
All
bro.
of us can stand up and we can use what we get to fight. So
I
appreciate you doing what you do.
Thanks, likewise, King. Appreciate you.
Yeah, so
check your website. I appreciate the work you're doing. We need more.
Oh yeah, our website is we're editing it now. That's what we wanted to hit on this last point with you. How can the listeners and other followers find you?
Okay, for now, periodically I go on Facebook. If I'm placing something, they can use Facebook. So it's under my name, Jerry Davisel. So it's Jerry, JRRY DAVISEL. And Instagram is Jerry_DAVISEL, Davisel. I haven't used my Twitter in a couple weeks. Or my email address, because I look at my emails all the time. So it's jerry.davis.el@gmail.com. And that's the things that I probably pay attention to a lot, but I know I'm going underground for like 6 weeks. I'm past this life social work guy. I got to put the work in, but I do still pay attention there. Now if somebody reach out, we'll respond.
Perfect. Appreciate that, bro. I'll list what you said in the information, so when people see the video, they can find out what you just said too.
Okay,
but
thanks,
with
John.
That, I appreciate your time you had to share with us, man. This is amazing. All of the wisdom and knowledge that you share with us, your tips and how you was able to pivot out from that past situations of your life, and that experience helped you to grow and not held you hostage to this situation. You let your mind grow and move into becoming the grown man that you are today. So I appreciate you and everything that you do, man. Tune in next time. We'll have our next interview in the Exes soon. Until then, you all have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you, brother.
Anytime, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
Hold on one moment.
Okay.